My name is Mark Williams. I am full-blood Choctaw, a filmmaker living here in Oklahoma City, and I'm also the co-founder of the Native American Paranormal Project. Over the past 6 years, we have been all over Oklahoma, meeting with people from the Native communities and hearing their stories and sharing their stories of the paranormal. We take those stories and, as storytellers ourselves, we project it to the world as a documentary. In those documentaries, we discuss the historical aspect of each location, the significance that it's had on our people, good or bad, and then we talk about the impact that it's had on the culture. And then, of course, we talk about the unexplained. We then go out and we investigate each location with the sincerity and the respect that each place deserves. We document our findings and we showcase them in a way not really to try to convince an audience that a place is haunted, but rather give the past a voice. We are basically paranormal enthusiasts and storytellers, nothing more. But we love what we do. The following footage is from a location in Seminole County called Griswold Mansion. We filmed this in 2013. It was our third feature documentary. To quickly summarize it, the film is about a person named William Edward Griswold, also known as Doc Griswold. Doc Griswold was a wealthy man, a rancher, physician, a pharmacist. He gained most of his wealth during the oil boom. But it was during this time that some of the elders from the Seminole Nation say that greed and corruption led to many of their people losing their land, losing their mineral rights through trickery, forced deeds, and in some cases through death. So as the years passed, the Seminole families would talk about some of the practices that Doc Griswold would use through his pharmacy work, some of the ways he obtained servants, Seminole servants, and in a lot of cases, a lot of suffering occurred. So to many of the visitors that still visit the mansion today, they say they can still feel that suffering and that some of the spirits may still linger. So what you're about to see are just some of the stories and some of the responses that we got while we were investigating Griswold Mansion.
Ever since you've been working here, or maybe before you started working, did you hear stories about the Griswold Mansion being haunted, or maybe having some paranormal activity here?
Well, when we first bought the property, we did talk to the previous owners, and although he didn't believe in paranormal or anything like that, but he did say that there was too many things that happened here that he just couldn't explain. And the previous owners were the Hendersons, and did he ask him if it was haunted?
Yeah, he said there's things that happen. He said that they can't explain. He says, I'm not necessarily going to say it's actually haunted. He said, but there are things that happen that I can't explain. And he talked about lights being turned on and things being moved and, just stuff like that.
There's a particular lamp, I guess, that's maybe in one of the sitting rooms that might have a little bit of a story behind it.
Yeah, and the previous owners had that issue too with this lamp coming on. And they were a married couple, so it was only them two living here in the home. And they each thought the other one was leaving it on until they finally compared notes and realized it wasn't either one of them. But we didn't really believe it until we first purchased the mansion, and it did happen to us. Until one night we did turn it on, and then as soon as we were walking back across the other side of the house, I looked back across and it was back on.
But yeah, this is the lamp.
That's the lamp that turns on by itself. So.
But yeah, this is the lamp.
That's the lamp that turns on by itself. So. Did you tell them about what the Henderson said about the lamp? Okay.
It turns on by itself, or turns off too, or?
It isn't just on.
Can we turn it off and then see if it comes back on later? It turns on by itself, or turns off too, or?
It isn't just on.
Can we turn it off? It turns on by itself, or turns off too, or?
It isn't just on.
Can we turn it off and then see if it comes back on later? Okay. Can you tell me your name?
Eli is a bear.
And how old are you?
8.
And what tribe are you?
Seminole.
Seminole?
Nation.
Okay. And I understand you have a story for us, right? Something that you saw in the ballroom?
Mhm.
Can you tell me about that night? Tell me what happened?
I think it was a family thing where we had it on Christmas, and well, it's just me and my grandpa and my uncle downstairs, and my grandpa went to go play the piano, and my uncle was playing the guitar,
Hmm.
and my uncle told me to like take a picture, but I didn't know it was recording.
He hands her the phone, and she accidentally pushed the video record button. And in the transition from handing it over, she videoed from one shoulder to the other.
I was holding that camera like this, and then my uncle was going to watch it because he said, "Oh, I just deleted it." But whenever he watched it, he saw somebody like standing behind me, like on this shoulder.
Something was standing behind her, and you can see it materialize out of thin air and then kind of walk over to the other side.
Following footage is actual video captured by Eliza Bear that December night.
You recorded this?
Yeah.
You recorded this?
Yeah.
What did you think when you saw the video?
I got chills, and what even made me more creeped out was that this is the room where my daughter talks to something and says bye bye honka every time that we leave this room, and she's 2. And then we also had another little boy that's non-Indian that came out of this room and said, "Who's that little boy in the ballroom?" That's named Miko. And that was a very common name and still is for Seminole boys in our tribe.
There's a young girl similar to the little girl that they see at the Gristle. Same one appears here in back of the church. This is the window that I looked out and seen that little girl in November, Saturday after Thanksgiving Day, 1995. She's never been seen in front of the church proper. It's always been back here. Nowhere else but back behind the church.
She was an Indian girl, right?
Indian girl, little Indian girl. It's what angers me. Nothing scares me, but it angers me that these spirits can't rest and go home. That's how our people believe when we see spirits. It's a bad omen. Sometimes it's a good omen. They show themselves to us to let us know they're okay. But in a situation like here, situation at the Gristle, or for some bad events, those spirits tend to hover around, and things are so bad that our people says that their spirit can't go past to go home, that they stay behind and then they're stuck here. I believe that, and like I said, I am a witness to seeing this little girl here, and it's similar to all the descriptions that is said about the little girl at the Gristle.
When you guys walked into the mansion for the very first time, can you tell me a little bit about your initial thoughts, the whole grand structure of it?
I just thought it was elegant.
Okay.
Very. I was impressed.
It was like she said, it was elegant, taken care of, well groomed. Everything looked good when we pulled up there.
And on top of that, going into it, you knew about the history of it and some of the paranormal stories that came with the mansion. Did you feel a presence right away?
Yeah, as soon as I walked in, it's just like walking in from the heat into the cold air. Like the heat to the air conditioner. That's how much of a difference. As soon as I came in, it felt like I had something was always watching me.
Have you ever felt when you're self-conscious, when you think everybody's looking at you, when you walk into somewhere where you've never been? That's what I felt when I walked in there.
And I never shook that all night. All night, everywhere we went, just had that feeling of somebody watching me.
Other than all the other paranormal investigations that we've done, we know what we're going into. That is the first time I really walked into somewhere feeling like, hey, it's about ready to happen right now.
Tell me your name and your tribe.
Steve Jacob, Chutta.
Marina McCain Bronall, Creek and Seminole, Kiowa Ponca.
John Factor, Seminole, Kiowa, Comanche, and Caddo.
My name is Marcus Keys IMC Frijo Chaho Jifkados. I'm a Pawnee and Seminole.
I'm Dee Dee Dakota, Chickasaw, Siston Wapiton, Oyate.
If somebody is here, turn the flashlight on. Yes, the thing about the mirrors was I had I didn't want to look into the mirrors because I didn't know what I was going to see coming back. Because the house is full of mirrors. We'll put it over here on this chair over here. And when we went into that room, there was big mirrors in there, and I kind of kept my head down as I walked through there and tried to set up the camera. And then we got our place in the middle of the room, and I got my way to where I wouldn't have to look at a mirror because I didn't want to see what would be looking back.
A few minutes into their EVP session, they would capture the first EVP of the night. It was about one of the mirrors.
We'll put it over here on this chair over here. You don't like being close to electronic equipment. We'll put it over here on this chair over here. You don't like being close to electronic equipment.
After Keese wraps up his EVP session in the sitting room, he reviews the audio. He wasn't alone.
Nah, that's not you. That's like, that's what it sounds like. If you listen to it real closely, it's like a.
I did, but I didn't enter like that though.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like a dog, but it's not a dog. It's like a grunt. It's like because you can hear it. You can hear it go. It like does this two steps. Somebody here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a.
See, I mean, even I know now. When I ask questions, I do it one at a time instead of doing it twice.
It's not a voice.
Yeah, it's raising itself up.
It's like a grunt. It's like a grunt. It's like a. That's what it sounds like.
That wasn't the only voice recorded.
Okay, tell me what you just found on your recorder.
Okay, the second part of that segment of recording, I was in the same room. I had said, on the second part, I said, we're in your home. I said, we're in your home. And then it sounded like softly you could hear, over here. And then it got louder, and it said, over here. And then it said, either die or 9. I don't know. I can't really make it out because it's soft. But you can hear it. It's audible. It's a woman's voice. So, yeah.
Let's go and play it.
And we're going to play it. We're in your home. We're in your home.
Ooh, what was that? Oh, okay. I was like, what is that? But it's the lighting off, the reflection off of it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And if you're here, can you please tell us your name? And if you're here, can you please tell us your name?
Seconds later, a shadow appears to climb out of the chair.
Turn your left on. Turn your left on.
Keys, can you test what we're doing?
Yeah, we're just smoking off right now. So we don't carry anything with us, take it back home, or let it. So we don't let it allow it to affect our livelihood, our vehicles, our homes, our family. And because what we do here is just a good thing, telling a story. So sage out here is to purify. That's what they use sage for, purify. That sweet grass is for that goodness, that good spirit like that. So it's important, We're here out here having fun, having a good time, but it's always important to acknowledge, these ceremonial ways. So
The next sequence is about an old Seminole church in Sasakwa, Oklahoma. The reason I picked this location to be a feature was because it told a different type of activity, a different type in a way that you might even say sometimes it was welcomed. These churches had been around for a very long time, and they derived from our ceremonial ways. And we talk about that in the film. A deep connection to the church. There was a deep connection to the practices and to the grounds. Some of these churches were homes to the families. In the film, we discuss these traditional practices. We talk about the importance it was that they kept on holding on to these, and we talked about the importance of singing, of Seminole singing. But we also discussed that because it held such a special place in their lives, that maybe when a loved one passed away, their spirits remained. Their spirits wanted to stay and fellowship with them when they would start to sing. So, what you're about to see are just some of the stories and some of the responses that we got during our time at Rock Springs Indian Baptist Church. This was from our documentary that we called Our Church.
As church members passed on, they were laid to rest here on the church grounds near the buildings that meant so much to them. This church played a huge part in their lives. As the years passed, some say the spirits of former members still drop by from time to time. We sit down with current members who share some of their stories of paranormal activity that has occurred here at Rock Springs. Some going as far back as when they were children drawing water for their camp houses from a well just beyond this fence. As they got older, the stories kept coming and they became more common.
And when Corey seen that little boy was right down here, along that gate line, fence line, she was She was standing about right here. She was standing right here, and I was over there and I was talking to her, and I seen her looking that way, and then she started hollering at her daddy. He was over there, and by the time she looked back, he was gone.
One time I was in church on the women's side. I was talking to the women, and the door was open, church door was open straight through to the George W.'s camp. You can see it real good when you're standing there. So, for some reason, I just turned my head towards the camp house, and where the sun was shining on the camp house, I see the shadow was standing in there, right here in the doorway. but right in there, seen a figure of a man standing here, and then when I turned my head and looked again, he was still here. But later on, it just kind of faded away. That's the first time I seen, something like that. I heard a lot of noises, a lot of footsteps and voices, but I've never seen a shadow till that time.
My name is Clifford Harjo, and I'm a grandson of the late Reverend George W. Harjo, the first pastor of the Rock Spring Indian Baptist Church in Sasakwa.
Yeah, he always comes up here, and he'll weed eat around my dad's little house up there, the grave.
One day I was down there and weed eating. I was facing to the north and had a funny feeling come over me.
And he said he felt like somebody was watching him.
And I looked up and I seen a figure of a man as my grandpa standing there. He was wearing a black jacket that he used to wear, a black Seminole jacket and a cowboy hat. That's what he used to wear all the time, and that's what I seen. Cause I didn't see his face, but I seen the jacket and the cowboy hat. But, I knew it was him.
So after you saw him, was you scared when you saw it?
No, I wasn't scared. It just shocked me.
You miss him?
Yeah, I do.
Could the former first pastor still be here watching over the church grounds and his old camp house? Who are the children that are heard playing? What about the boys seen in the woods or the man seen walking near the well house? These are just some of the stories told around these parts. The Native American Paranormal Project has been invited out to Rock Springs Indian Baptist Church to help tell these stories and to reveal that, as current pastor Jim C. Harjo stated, these are good spirits and they want to be with us. This is their footage.
We went back to a rendezvous point, and I started looking at my pictures of what, if anything I captured, if I, seen any orbs around Steve or anything. And then at the front of that camp house is, this image I believe to be an image, and that looks a whole lot like, a little kid. Because you could see the top of the head to the feet.
There was something that we captured on video. Can you talk a little bit about that, Steve?
So I just turned my camera around and I started doing just a little show of the. I was off a ways. I was just getting a shot, a stock shot that had the church in good view. And as we stood there, we just sat there and asked a few questions because we had some things running, and that's what we captured. Bado. Bado. We just figured them as curious because even living kids, they'll get in your way when you've got a camera. So that's probably what it was. But it didn't bother me a bit in the world. Like I said, that I just pretty much felt comfortable about the whole thing.
So we just came out of the church, and it was Mark, Gypsy, and I, and Gypsy saying, another song. And before he sang, Mark says, "You want to hear another song? You're welcome to join us." He gets up.
You're welcome to join.
You're welcome to join us. He gets up, and I can clearly hear, listening back on the playback, I could hear about 5 seconds after he walks to the camera, I hear a man say, "They're walking around," and he says something else.
You're welcome to join. They're walking back. You're welcome to join. They're walking back.
It was really clear, and it was so close to the microphone. And it was just so interesting because it didn't sound like anybody, but it was really audible.
So we kind of moved on to the next one right after George Harjo's. It was kind of at the bottom of the house is kind of lifted up, and there's kind of some stuff under there. And so as we were walking over there was like a partial bike that's sitting under the house, and I thought that maybe that maybe connected with the child that maybe Dee Dee had gotten on her phone.
So I kind of had that in mind when I was asking questions, and I was like, "Are you under there?"
Anybody back here?
And so we started asking some questions. I asked about the toy to see if I could get a response to that.
Anybody in there?
Did someone used to play on this toy? Did someone used to play on this toy? Did someone used to play on this toy?
I took the audio recorder and just set it in there because I wanted to leave it in there for like 3-4 minutes. Set it in there, and then I had asked if they wanted to tell us something. They can. I'm gonna leave this in here. So I said, Mado, I'm gonna set this audio recorder in here. Let it sit in here for a little bit by itself. I'm gonna set this recorder in here. If you want to say anything while we're outside in here, you're more than welcome to. If there's something that you want to tell us about the world we live in or the times we're in, please do so. Say, Mado. Then I walk out, and maybe like about 6-7 seconds after that, when I was probably like 15 feet out, there was some whispering in there. I couldn't really make it out, but maybe like whenever we go back and edit the audio, maybe we'll be able to see what it says.
Did it sound like it might have been English or Seminole?
I can't tell. I mean, it's like
Just audible though.
it's audible. I mean, you can hear it. You know, I'm sure if you like turned it up a little bit and maybe like slowed it down or something, but it's like, you know, it sounds like it sounded like somebody was whispering like if somebody were to say, hey, look, they're doing something over there, or hey, look what they're doing, or okay, they just went out, or something like that. It just felt like that.
Okay, Marcus, also, just like what you did at George Harjo's Camp House, you did something similar like that with the church too,
Yeah.
right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we sang in the church, and then after we sang in the church with Pastor Jim C. Harjo, we left we left the recorder in the church to see if we could capture anything. I think we left it in there maybe 10 minutes. And what we caught on that EVP session, what sounds like to me, only because you know I hear it all the time when you go to Indian churches, is it sound like a cane, you know, because the deacons and the pastor within those churches, they all carry canes. Like any of these Indian churches you go to, the elders, when they sing these old Indian songs, they all have their cane, and they'll either stomp their feet and they'll hit their cane. So they all hit their cane at the same time to the rhythm of the song, and the cane, when it hits the ground, it kind of sounds like almost like a doom, doom, almost like a drum, you know. Miku sapi funahana Jesus lekana you know, like to hear that, you know, it's like they're still there, you know, they're still singing, and they still have their cane.
This investigation was different for our team because we're usually dealing with the darker side of paranormal, but this was quite the opposite.
While we were there, I didn't get any sort of like bad vibes or anything. I don't feel like anything was trying to hurt us or anything like that.
It was a place where all of them could gather together and share the common language together in song.
My life has been in church. So once I got there, and I told Dee Dee, I said, you know, I'm not bothered here at all. I said, I'm at home. Basically, I'm at home.
Since past members have moved on, they have that sense of familiarity with the place. So I think they want to, you know, come back to where they think is comfortable for them.
I feel like they welcomed us, and like I said, just kind of curious about us.
There's no evil out there. It's just this was something different and something good for the people, nothing traumatic. So I think that it's okay that the spirits are there and they want to stick around and be there.
Indian churches have a different feel, I would say, than your average white church. And growing up in Oklahoma, you always recognize that. And I think you recognize that as you get older. And so as I got older, I realized the power, you know, the spiritual power and the spiritual history that these old Indian churches have.
These songs, these stories, you know, these beliefs are always going to be there. You know, we keep it going. You know, every generation, we share that, keep it going. And, I think that's pretty powerful.